Whew, whew. Hey, sorry I'm late, historians. I was looking at today's lesson, and they were written on these clay tablets, just like they used in Mesopotamia and Egypt. They're just so heavy. Oh, you're right, Mia. How could I forget that? Thanks a million. Mia just reminded me that paper was invented here in Egypt. Whew. Maybe that means I won't have to lug around these clay tablets anymore. Well, let's learn about paper and more stuff from Egypt's Middle Kingdom. Oh, man. Before we check out the paper and other stuff, let's check out our lesson objectives. We're going to describe key events from Egypt's Middle Kingdom, then describe their primary cultural, artistic, and technological advancements. Are you ready, historians? Okay, historians, picture this. You're in ancient Egypt, and it's a time of total chaos. The old kingdom has ended, and things are a mess. And just when things are really looking bad, here comes a hero. A king named Mentuhotep II, who's set on ending the chaos and bringing peace and order back to Egypt. So Mentuhotep II swoops in and reunites Egypt, and even works to expand it, creating what we now call the Middle Kingdom. Now with him in charge, everything becomes stable again, and the empire flourishes. And boy, did he ever get things turned around. They really kicked up trade with places throughout Africa, Western Asia, and Europe. They were like ancient wheelers and dealers, selling grain and other goodies, and bringing in cool stuff like gold and copper, and even exotic animals like cheetahs and giraffes. And I gotta admit, having a pet cheetah would rock. Back on track. The Middle Kingdom was also the golden age of architecture, and the pharaohs put together some mind-boggling building projects. Imagine the biggest Lego set you've ever seen, but even bigger. Those are some serious blocks. They built massive temples, palaces, and fortresses. Some of the greatest include the Temple of Mentuhotep. It's built into a cliff and looks like a giant staircase leading up to the sky. A part of it is still standing today. Religion got a makeover during this time too. Osiris, the god of the afterlife and farming, became a big deal. His story of dying and coming back to life was all the rage in Middle Kingdom art and literature. But as you know, every hero story has a villain. Enter the Hyksos, the outsiders. They invaded Egypt and brought the Middle Kingdom to an end. These invaders worshipped Seth, the god of chaos, who was seen by Egyptians as a troublemaker. Now think about how we communicate today. You know, the way we message one another? Now imagine a whole new way of writing comes along. That's what happened in the Middle Kingdom. They switched from Old Egyptian to Middle Egyptian, a language that let them express their thoughts in more exciting and detailed ways. It was like getting an upgrade from a flip phone to a smartphone. So let's talk about writing. The Egyptians had a few different styles, kind of like how we have print and cursive, abbreviations, and emojis. First up are hieroglyphics. This was kind of like the ancient version of emojis, but instead of smiley faces and thumbs up, they represented words and sounds. Now, these were used for important stuff like religious rituals and government documents. Then there was hieratic, a quicker, easier version of hieroglyphics. Think of abbreviations like LOL instead of laugh out loud. That's what hieratic was like compared to hieroglyphics. It was used a lot for everyday writing. And lastly, there was demotic, a super speedy script used for things like business and legal papers and letters. Now, these writing styles were used for all sorts of things, from religious texts that told stories about the gods to boring government stuff like taxes and trade. Hey, do you use different types of writing for different purposes? Yeah, me too. But Egyptians also wanted some entertainment. Scribes wrote down famous stories that give us a peek into their lives. They created epic tales from this time that entertained everyone, and some, like this section from the Book of the Dead, are still around. So the Middle Kingdom was a time of change, kind of like when new apps are introduced to your phone. Now, this was when the Egyptians really upped their communication game, leaving us with a treasure trove of info about their civilization thanks to their writing. Pretty cool, huh? Hieroglyphics weren't just for writing. They were also used to turn temples and tombs into masterpieces of art. They told stories about the people buried in the tombs, kind of like a comic book about their life and achievements. Now, imagine you're an ancient Egyptian architect. The Middle Kingdom was your time to shine, building massive temples that would make anyone say wow, like this one. Wow. This is one of the coolest, the Temple of Amen at Karnak. The Temple of Amen was the launch pad of a huge religious festival. They'd carry a huge statue of the god Amen in a parade all the way to another temple. It was like an ancient 2-week block party. Now, these temples were filled with amazing columns and sculptures. And they show just how talented and devoted the ancient Egyptians were. Oh, and guess what else was big in the Middle Kingdom? Metalworking. I mean, it is the Bronze Age, right? You can even see the hieroglyphics in this necklace from the time. The Middle Kingdom was also a time of some huge advancements in farming, which produced even more food. This is a shadoof. It consisted of a long pole with a bucket on one end and a weight on the other. The pole was balanced on a pivot, allowing the bucket to be lowered into the river, then lifted out and emptied into the fields with less effort. Now, this encouraged more people to farm, led to even more crops, and let people move farther away from the Nile to do it. Now let's stop and use our brains for a minute. How do you think this would affect trade and defense in the empire? Ah, you're pretty sharp. Yep, more crops meant more food to trade. And what about defense? Yep, a little harder. More crops meant Egypt could feed a larger army. Now, this gave the pharaoh a chance to further expand the empire anytime he wanted. But what if I told you that not all the plants grown in the fields were for food? One of these crops was a plant called papyrus that was also pretty special. That's right, papyrus is where we get the name for paper. I won't give you the details about how they made their paper. For that, you'll have to go to the PDF. But it was used for everything that paper today is used for, plus more. The best thing is their paper was a whole lot lighter and smaller than a clay tablet, and a whole lot easier to fit into a backpack. Egypt became a power again during the Middle Kingdom under the pharaoh Mentuhotep II and had a bunch of achievements, but was defeated by the Hyksos. More advancements were made during this time, with 3 different forms of writing, more artistic monuments, and improvements in irrigation. But if you ask me, the best one was the paper. Ah, my back thinks so too. Man, that is so much better. Next time, we look at the New Kingdom and a kid pharaoh who became famous. Until then, historians, keep uncovering the past and looking to the future. And remember to always be clever. Hey.